Hello, I'm Karl Brown. Welcome to Growing Pains, taking your business to the next level. Today we have Karl Chen, founding partner of Chen Law, a full-service general practice serving Maryland and the District of Columbia. It focuses on helping businesses and individuals minimize legal risk and maximize legal opportunities. Whether it's a startup seeking business formation advice, managing lawsuits, or implementing an effective compliance program to protect you from civil and criminal liability. Welcome, Karl, and thank you for coming on Growing Pains.
Thank you for having me today, Karl.
Well, tell me, what got you into law?
Sure. First, I want to say that I want to preface my conversation today that we're going to be talking about a number of different topics. Some may be viewed as legal advice, and we're not rendering any legal advice today.
Okay.
But I'm going to make recommendations to your viewers, primarily that some of the things they need to consider with respect to legal issues facing their business.
Absolutely.
To answer your question, ironically, I got into the business of law because at one point in time I was in the insurance business, and I was servicing small businesses. And there was a particular business in which I was providing life insurance or helping fund a life insurance plan through a buy-sell agreement. And when I provided that life insurance plan, the client had taken it to their lawyer to draft up a buy-sell agreement, which they appropriately should do. Well, the lawyer went ahead and got another insurance agent to fund it. And at that point, I said, you know what, I'm never going to let that happen again. And I decided to go to law school, and I went to law school at the University of Baltimore and was an evening student. And in 1994, started out with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and then went to a number of different corporations, representing them as their counsel.
Okay, well, you have a slogan of the small business lawyer. So what types of businesses or what types of services you provide to small businesses?
Yeah, actually, the the slogan you're talking about is the Entrepreneur's Legal Counsel.
Right.
And the kind of services that we provide for small businesses or individuals who are thinking about having a small business start off from helping them set up their company, helping them think through the issues that they have with their businesses, helping them through trademarks, contracts, employee hiring, ways in which they can minimize the risk in their business because, as you know, the title of the show is Growing Pains. And oftentimes, when businesses are starting up, they're going through a whole lot of growing pains. And often it's because they haven't set all the other groundwork in place because they're focused on the big objective of being in business. And that's where I come in and help them do some of the heavy work that doesn't generate the income for them, but helps them at the end protect and keep the income that they work so hard for.
Oh, yeah. Really? Now, when is it the right time to get an attorney?
I'd say the right time is when you're thinking about starting a business. And the reason I say that is today, so many people have easy access through the internet to download forms and to kind of do it themselves. And I don't think of of starting a business as a do-it-yourself project. I think it's something that you need to have prudent counsel, accountants, and other advisors on your team to help you build your business. Because even selecting the right form of business, in other words, whether you're a corporation, a limited liability company, a partnership, or solo, all of those things, all of those particular aspects of how you structure your business can have a profound impact on the success of your business. So hiring a lawyer at the very beginning, Karl, I recommend that all folks consider it because the cost initially is actually lower than if there's a mistake, and then you got to retain counsel to kind of help you through the process of digging you out of the hole that may have been created.
Now, you brought up a good point: partnership, corporation, limited liability. Let's talk about those different entities and how, if a person is watching, they're thinking about getting into business, but they don't know what the structure should be. Could you give us some guidelines on that?
Sure. With respect to a business, think of a business, and I guess in some prior elections and things of that sort, they talked about a business being a person. In the legal context, it is viewed as an individual entity. So you have a solo, you have partnerships, you have limited liability companies and corporations as your main kind of businesses that are typically structured by individuals. A solo is just that. If you have a viewer today, and let's say they are in the printing business, they can start business today and give out business cards and start printing T-shirts. And they do nothing else but sell those T-shirts. And let's say they have the proper vendor licenses and everything else, they're viewed as a solo. Now let's say that same printer decides that they're going to have a person join in with them. Without any formal agreement or any written documentation, the two of them decide that they're going to go into the printing business together and split the profits, share the expenses. That is an example of a partnership.
Okay.
Then you have what is known as a limited liability company. Think of a limited liability company as an insulation for those individuals. Whether it's one individual or two or more individuals, the limited liability corporation covers and protects those individuals and give them limited exposure to liability. That's something that a lot of companies today are focused on because it's easy to set up and it's easy to maintain on an ongoing basis.
Now, when you say limited liability, that limits the liability of my personal assets, or what is the limit? What does the limit cover?
Well, that's a good question, Karl. Oftentimes, the limited liability company, you're limited in your exposure to the amount of money that you've contributed to your business.
Okay.
However, there are instances, especially for some of your viewers out here who may have signed a lease or signed a personal guarantee on something, their exposure isn't protected by the limited liability company because they've personally guaranteed it.
Okay.
So the limited liability company has some certain protections as long as you keep things within that entity. The second you step out of that shell that we talked about, that protection, you've given yourself, exposure.
Okay.
And then there's the corporation. I just wanted to kind of touch
sure.
quickly on that. Corporation, the difference in that is that you have, similar to a limited liability company, but you have shareholders and you have a board of directors, and you're protected as well based on the same amount, the investment that you make into that business.
Okay. So, say I'm a limited liability corporation, and I go for some office space. I lease office space, but I don't do it through the company initially. I do it through me personally. Then what happens then?
You're liable. It's just like applying for a credit card or a mortgage or any other obligation where you sign your name personally. You're personally liable. The reality is, though, for many small businesses, Karl, they have to go through, oftentimes the landlords in this example of a lease require a personal guarantee, even though they have this limited liability structure.
Okay.
One, because perhaps their business is an unproven entity. But one of the things I advise my clients when they do enter into these things, because oftentimes they have to, is down the road, renegotiate your lease to remove yourself from personal liability, especially 3 years out, 5 years out. You've proven yourself of being a responsible tenant. You've made your payments on time. And those are the types of terms and proof that you can utilize to renegotiate that obligation.
Okay. Do you work with nonprofits? Because we have a big nonprofit audience out here as well.
Yes, I work with nonprofits. I work with nonprofits from the beginning stages of identifying the mission that they want to accomplish, to establishing and filing the nonprofit application, as well as giving them proper guidance and governance. Often, many of these businesses are not successful, or they go through the growing pains because they don't understand and recognize the importance of proper governance within their organization.
Right. Now, let's talk about governance. Is it more so on the nonprofit side or on both?
Both.
Okay.
Just because you're a nonprofit, in fact, as a nonprofit, you probably have a lot more responsibilities of governing and making sure that you have your board meetings, your board of directors established, having quality people, not just your friends and family on the board, but people that can offer some assistance in building and growing your business. And that's both on the profit side and nonprofit side. But often what we find is that when a situation occurs, there hasn't been any minutes taken of meetings. There hasn't been any resolutions that have been drafted that created an action for that person to take to do the things that they're entitled to do. Or maybe their bylaws are outdated, or maybe they don't have any bylaws.
Okay. Well, we're about to go to break, so let's talk about fees when we come back. Stay tuned for more Growing Pains when we return.
Oftentimes, it is a concern of many entrepreneurs and individuals.
Prince George's Community College isn't just a place that offers more than 200 academic, workforce development, and continuing education programs. It's the first step toward the career of your dreams. It's a community of people who want you to succeed. It's where degrees are earned and potential is realized. Apply and register today. Call 301-336-6000. Prince George's Community College, transforming lives.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. Teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Thank you for calling your GED Pep Talk Center. All right, now, are you ready for your GED Pep Talk?
Being nervous is okay. It just shows that you're serious about getting your diploma.
All right, listen, we all need a little nudge sometimes. I don't function without coffee in the morning, but it is gonna take more than a double mochaccino to help you here.
A lot of things are scary. Heck, I'm scared of clowns.
No quiero oír. Danny, no lo puedo hacer. Quiero oír. Danny, lo voy a hacer.
DMC, liking your pep talk style.
Just keeping it real, Debs, just keeping it real.
Louder, louder, I'm gonna get my GED. Come on, get your GED. Hey. Keep it down, brother. Thanks.
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
Quiet, please. Wait a sec. I'll take one. Oh yeah. All right. All good. Take care. Way to go. Nice. Bring it on. Gotcha. I'm here for you. Oh no. Please, please, please. I'm waiting. Interesting. Not buying it. Not fair. That's it. This conversation is over. Oh, brother.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things.
I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke.
Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. F. Face drooping. A. Arm weakness. S. Speech difficulty. T. Time. Time to call 911 immediately. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment, and that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Learn the body language, the sudden signs, and spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to Growing Pains as we continue our discussion of legal issues for entrepreneurs. Before we went to break, we brought up the fact of legal fees. So could you explain that? Because a lot of people get nervous when you talk about calling a lawyer. Yeah. And that's something that they really need to do and focus on, but they're afraid of the fees. So
well, that's a good question that you're raising, Karl. Oftentimes it is a concern of many entrepreneurs and individuals. But if you're in business, you have to build into your budget the cost of legal representation. And initially, there's going to be things that a lawyer is going to be able to help hopefully minimize some of the long-term expenses that go on if your business succeeds. Mm-hmm. So how do you manage it? How do you minimize it? One way is you can, when you identify a lawyer, you can see if whether or not they'll do a flat fee for certain services. Certain services can be done perhaps on a flat fee basis. A lot of attorneys charge on an hourly basis. Then there are certain types of work, such as collections work or other kinds of suits that lawyers will accept the contingency, which means, hey, they'll get a percentage of whatever is recovered. Okay. And you could do a combination of all three, or maybe two of those three. And so that's a way in which entrepreneurs can minimize the legal expenses that they've incurred and setting up a budget for those types of legal costs.
Okay. Now let's talk about contracts.
Sure.
Any business is going to eventually sign a contract and or a supplier agreement so that, we sell, telephones. We need a supply agreement with an equipment manufacturer that will supply us telephones. So should we contact a lawyer about reviewing that agreement or?
Well, I think, to deal with supplier agreements, especially, these are legal documents. And the legal documents are going to commit your business. They're going to maybe bound you as well personally. Unless you're astute in understanding all the legal jargon that is oftentimes put in these contracts, it makes sense to have a lawyer initially review those contracts. I find in my practice when we're representing clients for breaches of contracts and things of that sort, or we're filing a lawsuit with respect to a breach of contract, oftentimes it's because it's a contract that they've created, they've pulled off the internet, or the client, the landlord, let's say in an instance of a breach of lease, had all kinds of jargons, and that entrepreneur was just so excited to get into space. They were so excited about the opportunities for this business that they just signed off on it and never really read the language. And the language may have said, hey, yeah, by the way, we're going to have your firstborn, we're going to take your house, we're going to take all kinds of things. And so definitely they should consider an attorney. The cost is a lot cheaper at the initial start.
Okay. Now, what about, in the national capital region where we're located, a lot of people are doing business with the federal government, and they're teaming up and partnering with folks. So that brings on a whole nother set of contracts and non-disclosure agreements. Can you tell our audience about those and how to be familiar with those and what to look for?
Yeah, absolutely. And non-disclosure agreements in general, even when you're starting out a business and you think you have a great idea, what the non-disclosure agreement does, it permits you to share your ideas and your thoughts with another individual or a company. The non-disclosure is designed to do just that. It's to tell that person, hey, you're not going to disclose information I'm going to share with you, because this information is material, it's proprietary, and it's important to my business objective. If you don't do that, then, or you don't share with someone that you expect them to have some level of confidentiality, then there's nothing that bounds that individual or that company to keep your information confidential. The non-disclosure agreement, in terms of what you should look for in those, should provide a provision about confidentiality, the length of time that confidential information is used, the fact that the information that is going to be revealed, unless it's already publicly available, is the type of information that shouldn't be disclosed with anyone. And those non-disclosures, to some extent, should be mutual. So this way, the other party also realizes that when they're sharing information with you, that you also will keep the information confidential and not disclosed to other parties. It's really important, because if you don't, the next thing you know, you may have a competitor all of a sudden duplicating the exact same thing that you were trying to protect and cover.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen.
Yeah, and I tell you, Karl, that could be problematic.
Right.
Because now your great idea, somebody else has it.
Right, and they're off to the races.
Exactly.
And they might be more connected than you are.
It may be.
And by the time you get there, all you're doing is picking off of the bones.
Right, exactly.
Because they've had the buffet.
Right, and now, you have nothing in writing, you have nothing signed, and let's say you decide you're going to take action because that person has taken your proprietary information. Now it's really a matter of he say, she say. Yes, Your Honor, I shared it with them on June 25th, and you have no evidence of that.
No evidence.
Yeah.
So what about teaming agreements?
Teaming agreements, joint ventures, things of that sort. Again,
mentor, protege.
Oh yeah, I mean, all of those types of agreements and arrangements, they should be reviewed. Each party should have individual counsel review it. They need to be mindful of what the terms are, understand that teaming agreements sometimes mean, or in joint ventures rather, that you're going to share the expenses, share the costs, share the profit. Other arrangements may mean that your entity is going to foot the responsibilities for your own employees, as an example. So the parties have to meet, figure out exactly what it is that they're trying to accomplish by those endeavors, and make sure that the lawyers properly put the proper protection for their respective clients in place. Because people have a short-term memory oftentimes if things aren't in writing.
Oh yeah.
I know as I'm getting older, I don't remember yesterday, but and so you can imagine in a business concept how often people forget the terms, or they misunderstand what the terms actually were.
Well, let's turn it to employees now. I'm hearing more from small businesses that they want an employee handbook. And I'm wondering, are these things any good?
They're good as long as you make sure that the handbook doesn't imply that you have a contract of employment, okay? They should be designed as a policy, as a guidance. There should be some kind of disclaimer of some sort that doesn't bound you or commit you for employment. Typically, employees, other than those who are under a formalized employment contract, are at-will employees. But often, while the handbook can be a bittersweet kind of a policy or guidance for employees, it can be literally used against you if it's not properly drafted.
And I've seen that, because I served as a human relations commissioner both in Montgomery and Prince George's counties. And I've seen where the employees use their handbook right against the employer.
Absolutely, especially when it comes in issues of progressive discipline. They say, well, I was terminated because of X, and you didn't follow these protocols. in this procedure. And you know, a plaintiff's lawyer is going to really chomp on the bit, especially if there are certain provisions in your handbook that don't disclaim that that employee still is an at-will employee,
right,
and that there's no employment contract that's made as a result of this, and that the employer themselves can freely change the nature of the handbook and the contents and the policies at any time.
Right.
So I think it's a good idea to have policies in place and practices in place, but you know, it's worth as much as the paper is written if you don't really do the right things with it.
Right, right. We're about to wrap up. So what pearls of wisdom can you provide to our audience, the small business owner or the person who's sitting on the fence, trying to determine whether or not they should jump in the game and become an entrepreneur, or they should keep working for somebody else? What can you provide to them that would help them or motivate them?
Well, pearls of wisdom. I think the main thing is find happiness in whatever it is that you're going to focus in on. That as an entrepreneur, you better love what it is that you're doing, because if you don't love it, you're not going to be committed and devoted to it. Make sure you have the right team of advisors on your side. Utilize resources such as the Center for Minority Business Development to improve and gain insight and knowledge. Take some additional classes. I think the Prince George's Community College offers a number of different courses on business management and things of that sort. Take those types of courses first to understand what it is that you want to do. Just because you're an excellent landscaper doesn't make you a great business person. And so you need to establish and understand the principles of operating a business. And most importantly, make sure you have good legal representation and counsel.
There you go. Karl, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time as we continue to help you take your business to the next level. To find out more information about the CMBD Accelerator Program, call us at 301-583-5205 or visit us at our website at www.cmbd.biz.
Prince George's Community College isn't just a place that offers more than 200 academic, workforce development, and continuing education programs. It's the first step toward the career of your dreams. It's a community of people who want you to succeed. It's where degrees are earned and potential is realized. Apply and register today. Call 301-336-6000. Prince George's Community College, transforming lives.